Indivisible is amazing. Where do I even begin with this one? Well, simply put, it's not actually a game just yet, it's a prototype, and it's a damn good one. Let's start with the gameplay. You control Ajna, a girl who can summon other characters to fight alongside her in battle. When you start, you're alone, but after a few battles you gain access to a few of the other fighters who I assume will take a little longer to show up in the final game. All of these characters are great. Zabei, being an archer, attacks from a distance, though you can spread his shots around to hit more than one enemy, or land more hits on a single enemy. Razmi carries the spirit of her tiger friend Bomb in that lantern and calls upon him to attack enemies without her even making a move. She's also a healer and can slow enemies down using an attack that barely does any damage but gives you more time to lay the hurt on baddies using the other characters. Tungar's hat is an incredibly long, extremely flexible sword that he whips enemies with and wraps around his head when he's done. He's probably my favorite of the three supporting characters, he's just too cool. Ajna herself is the most basic of the bunch. She doesn't do that much damage herself, and if you try taking on the game's later enemies with just her, you're taking up a pretty much impossible task. It's more about how she leads the charge and commands the other characters. Thankfully, you'll find an axe that triples your damage output and gives you a few new moves. The creators have said they don't want this to be the kind of RPG where you just grind endlessly and throw numbers at an enemy to win. Stat boosts gained from leveling up will be almost negligible. Most of your real upgrades are just the weapons and armor you obtained throughout your adventure. If the axe you get to use in this prototype is any indication, I can't wait to see what the other weapons do. This thing is great. It has some real weight to it, and you can even use it to climb up a single wall if there isn't another one to wall jump off of. You can also use it to one-shot enemies before they can suck you into a battle. Yeah, this is the kind of game where you run around on a board, and when you come close to an enemy, they challenge you to a battle, but if you're strong and fast enough, you can just one-shot them before they have a chance to do anything. Stronger enemies will put up more of a fight, and confrontations with them are basically unavoidable in most cases, but if you're quick enough, you can still get a cheap shot in, giving you a slight advantage in the ensuing fight. But rest assured, if you dish it out, so will they, and if you're not quick enough, they'll intercept you and make you fall on your ass. The controls are simple and very satisfying. Wall jumping feels better here than it does in most games, and Ajna's movements overall are very responsive and intuitive. The level design of this dungeon isn't too complicated, but I can see some great dungeon crawling potential here. Yeah, it's another Metroidvania kind of game, but I think these guys can make this one stand out. Going back to the fighting mechanics, the combat is unusual, but for someone like me who can't stand turn-based combat because it sucks me out of the game, it's a nice compromise. Enemies will attack you whenever they feel like it. There's no taking turns with them. You just wait for your character's meter to fill up and attack whenever they're ready. Pressing the up and down directional keys while pressing each character's action button makes them attack differently. I've noticed that the up attacks deal the most damage, or just higher combos, so I'm guessing you probably unlock these moves a little later in the final game. At first, you can only attack once per recharge, but as you keep fighting, you can eventually attack twice or 3 times within the same meter recharge period, so at that point it's more like having 3 shorter meters that load super fast. You only need to wait for 1/3 of it to fill then, but being able to attack 3 times in one go is just so satisfying. And with 4 characters at your disposal, that's 12 opportunities to just wail on someone within a single turn. Some may expect a combat system like this to be broken, but these devs were smart, and there are some restrictions. See, when you're attacking, all of the characters' meters stop loading, so it's not like you can just stun lock a boss and keep rotating through the roster and attack endlessly while the other characters reload behind whoever you have on the front lines. You do have to be just a little patient, and judge how long you want to risk being attacked by the enemy before you make your next move. The key is to chain attacks together, using your teammates' best moves to deal as much damage as possible in the span of a few seconds. Personally, I think it's genius. There's no way to dodge enemy attacks, but you can block them, provided you have some energy left in your ID meter. Your ID meter fills up as you lay the smackdown, but every time you block an attack, that uses up precious ID power. Defending one character at a time is nothing to worry about. If you want to conserve as much ID as you can while blocking, you just have to watch who the enemy's moving towards and be fast enough to block them without one character. Tricky, but doable. But some of these enemies will literally steamroll your entire party, and when you're defending everyone at once, that ID meter goes down like nothing. And if that wasn't bad enough, once it runs out, you can't block at all. It's not like it recharges on its own, you have to make every move count, offensively and defensively. If you have enough ID power, you can use one of the character's super moves, which will be more powerful depending on just how many sections of the ID meter you filled up all the way. So the longer you press on, the stronger and more vital these moves will be. For example, let's say you're saving up those ID points so Razmi can heal the team. An enemy attacks. Do you take it and ride it out and keep pressing on until you have enough ID power to make the healing spell twice as strong? Or do you try to block the attack, using up that ID power you were saving? Sure, you survived that and saved a few hit points, but by burning through that ID power that could have gone towards casting a more effective healing spell a little while later, you may have just cost yourself a lot more points in the long run. You really have to plan this stuff out, which can make for a bad combination with these hectic, fast-paced battles and all the multitasking they entail. Me though, I love how this system works. It was made for guys like me. It always keeps me on my toes, it gives me a good sense of how far every move I make takes me closer to victory. At the end of each battle you survive, your remaining hitting meter drains automatically and gets funneled into your health, acting as a sort of healing spell in itself. This is a blessing, since even if you manage to deflect every hit, you still suffer chip damage, and when you're going up against the demo's later enemies, even that chip damage really starts to hurt, so you're always pressured to build up that hitting meter. It's a good thing then that your primary method for doing so is kicking ass. It's just a really intelligently thought out combat system. It's sort of like a circulatory system. Everything is just connected and loops in on itself. It all goes back to that meter. It's complex, but it's not complicated. Not for the player anyway. It just works. Okay, so now you understand the gameplay, hopefully. Let's talk about the other stuff. The music is good, switching from relaxing and somewhat upbeat to encouraging and then to hectic and blood-pumping the next. These guys hired one of the greats to compose their soundtrack, and from what tunes have been finished and released, it shows. The sound effects are the kind you'd expect from the makers of Skullgirls. They're just really fun to listen to and are great for giving the player positive feedback, to make you feel like you're really doing some damage. The visuals are, well, I understand some people may not like the 2D sprites moving over a 3D background, but the creator has said they hope to make the visuals a little more consistent later in development, to make it all painterly and layered, like in this shot. If this is the route they take, I imagine the final product will look a little more consistently 2D, like Dust and Elysian Tail. Me, I don't mind the current visuals, I really don't. They've done a great job making these ruins feel distinct. It's the kind of level I normally find kinda bland, but the constantly changing colors and lighting keep it from feeling samey, and some of these effects are just beautiful in their simplicity. And just look at these other areas they have planned. It's like, what if the Mayans didn't go away? This world they're building is just too cool. The animation is great. It doesn't feel choppy or cheap. The characters have a nice elasticity to them, making them fun to watch in a fight, and they just look good. As for the art style, I love it. These character designs are actually kind of amazing. It's a simple style, probably so the characters are fairly easy to animate, but it's not without personality or purpose. You know how a lot of current cartoons will have a character who's just a circle or square with eyes and a mouth and tube-like noodles for arms? Yeah, this isn't anything like that. Every detail of these characters counts and goes a long way towards making each one stand out from the crowd. Nothing feels unnecessary or tacked on, it's all deliberate and sensible. I love Ashina's design. Her clothes pop out against her darker skin and feel pretty practical. I like how she starts a game by rolling up her skirt so it doesn't get in the way during a fight. Touches like that make the characters feel less static, shall we say. I also like her proportions. Those muscular pillar-like legs make her look sturdy and athletic. It fits since this character jumps around a lot and would sooner kick an enemy than punch them. And that face. It's so simple, but it says so much. And then there's the other characters. Zebe's getup is about as deceptively plain and practical as you could get, but he's all about showmanship. Tungar has a stocky, beefy build, but he has a most flexible fighting style. Resmi, well, she acts sassy and uncaring, but gosh darn it, that name's just too adorable. And there's gonna be like 20 other characters to play as. Good lord! You've got ones like Narcissus, this undead servant of a witch doctor, or Kushi, a falconer whose design is freaking precious, and Yan, this leggy ballet dancer turned assassin, who was apparently abandoned as a baby for being born without arms. And you can bet I'm gonna keep this Amazon on my team for the entire game. I want to explore this world and meet all of these diverse, lovingly designed characters. I want to know about their life story. I want to see where they go from here after meeting Ajna. I just hope the game doesn't get criticized for stereotyping or cultural appropriation or whatever. These characters are cool, they're fun, what else do they need to be? So now you know about Indivisible. Everything about it is great. I have nothing to complain about whatsoever. Bottom line, this is a really good game, and I want to see it made, but will it? Well, let's deal with the harsh reality of this game's crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo first. You might be wondering, with such a perfectly functional prototype, why do they need so much money? The game may as well be finished. Well, the demo works as well as it does because they're using the same engine that they developed to make Skullgirls. Yeah, they've laid the groundwork, but actually creating a whole world around it, and not just a few backgrounds, that's the hard part. They gotta pay all the animators, voice actors, programmers, everyone who's gonna be working on this. And this prototype wasn't cheap. This one small chunk of what Indivisible could be cost them $250,000 to make, basically out of their own pockets. So yeah, with hundreds of thousands of dollars already being sunk into this, you can bet they'll need more. The complete game is estimated to cost around $3.5 million to make. 505 Games has agreed to supply most of that funding, but only if Lab Zero can make the first $1.5 million. And this is a fixed funding campaign. It's not a flexible funding campaign. It's not going to be like Red Ash where they get to keep your money even if they don't reach their target goal because, oh, we had a publisher help us out all along, guys. No, this is the most transparent crowdfunding campaign I've ever seen, and the message is clear. If they don't reach that 1.5 mil, this game can't happen. It isn't an effort to gauge interest. This is necessary. This is vital. I wouldn't say the game is being held at gunpoint. It's more like it's on life support. And these people can't pay for the surgery, so if we don't help, well, they have to pull the plug. They've got no choice. This completely spur-of-the-moment review was an effort on my part to save this amazing game in the making from dying off and disappearing forever. It's going to be a sad day for gaming when games like this can't even get off the ground, where all the talented people at Lab Zero can't even make their next project happen. But that's the kind of world we live in nowadays. You know, the guys at the top, they just don't have faith in games like this. It's too risky, it's too weird. We need to test the waters, we need to gauge interest, we need to see if there's actually demand for a game like this. You can bet there is, from people like me, but I didn't even know this game existed until just a couple of days ago. You know, call it a lack of marketing support or whatever, but this campaign has been going on for weeks now. It's almost halfway done. And it's only just within the last few days that you're suddenly getting this rash of all these bigger YouTubers like Some Call Me Johnny and Jim Sterling and the two best friends checking it out and showing it off. You know, it's only just now that the campaign really feels like it's actually started. And at this point, it's going like 1% or so a day, you know, at like $10,000, $20,000, and it's pretty good, but in case you guys didn't notice, they need a lot more than that. You know, even if it was just $1 million, I think that would be feasible. I think we could definitely do that. It's going to be that last $500,000 that's going to be the really hard part. And it's just going to suck so bad if these guys don't manage to make this game. This is like a really big thing. This game needs to happen. We need more games like this that have all the charm and quality and artsy-fartsiness of indie games, but have a bigger budget behind them and more talent working on them, more people, you know, more like a real game and not just something on the old indie scene that nobody really takes that seriously and it's just kind of a niche thing. You know, I didn't even hear about this game until just a couple of days ago, and it's been going on for weeks now. It's almost halfway through its campaign, and it's only a quarter of the way there. It might be almost a third of the way there, at the 20-day mark. And that's just too bad. You know, this is a game that I... You know, I'm not a guy who likes these kinds of games typically. You know, I said it earlier in this, I don't care for RPGs, especially turn-based ones. There's just something about it that makes it really hard for me to think like anything is really happening. That's why I'm more drawn to more action-based games like KOTOR or Battle Network, where I have more control of the situation and I can like determine my next move and I can actually move around and dodge and stuff. And those are the kind of things that some people wouldn't even call real RPGs because they don't have the tired old turn-based combat that people like me just can't stand. But this game, I had a blast. I love Indivisible. Like, even if this game does bomb, the demo will be there, the prototype will always be there, and I can still play that. It's not like they can send people into our homes and take it out of our computers. But I can only play through the prototype so many times before it gets kind of old. I love this, but I want to have a whole game made out of it. I want to explore more of this world, not just a couple of temples. And you know, it's not the kind of thing where, oh, somebody else could probably pick it up and continue where they left off. This isn't going to be a one-man show. This is a really crazy, really big project. And it's only going to happen if enough of the right people are behind it and enough people like you and me back it up. That's why, when I get the chance, I am going to donate at least $60 to this game. I'm getting a little money at the end of the month, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to start accepting commissions on my DeviantArt page. And every commission that I get, not necessarily that I manage to finish before the end of the month, but every one that people pay for before the end of the month, I'm sending that money to these guys too. I'm giving more pledges just to try to ensure that this game might happen. It's still only going to be a tiny speck compared to the total budget that they need, but that's how much support I'm going to show this game. Yeah, that doesn't happen. I haven't actually spent $60 on a game all year, and I've never spent like $90 or $100 on a game. That's just never happened with me. But I love this game so much. I want so badly to see it happen that that's how far I'm willing to go. Yeah, this game needs to happen. We need something special like this. I can see this being like my favorite game since Dust. I just hate the idea of a world where the only thing these Lab Zero guys ever get known for is like the way the characters' boobs are animated in their Skullgirls game. You know, Skullgirls is a great game, but I want to see them do more stuff. I want to meet all these characters and explore this world. I want to see everything that these people can create. Because like this is some great talent behind this. Think of everything they could do if only we could push them a little bit further. I do think it's possible for this campaign to succeed. There's always some big explosion at the end of it. We need to reach into those pockets, like with the My Number 9 campaign. You know, that they only needed so much money for that, and they cleared it in a couple of days, and the campaign just kept going and going and going. This game needs that kind of support. I know not as many people are members of Indiegogo as Kickstarter. I'm not even a member just yet, but I'm gonna become a member so that I can make some pledges to the game. But again, if these guys can't get this game off the ground, I mean, I haven't been able to find any hard evidence of this, but there's rumors going around that if this game doesn't get funded, you know, they could have like they could have like $1,499,999.99, but if they don't make that last cent before the deadline, all of that money disappears and gets refunded to all the people like me. And then they wouldn't get squat, they wouldn't get a cent from 505 Games, and this game just wouldn't happen. And there's rumors that if things go that way, Lab Zero might completely disband, and these people just might not work on games anymore. Yeah, they might join other companies, and they might get to work on other products, but their personal touch that shines so clearly in this game, it would probably be so muddled and just so, you know, you probably wouldn't even be able to see it. You probably wouldn't even be able to tell that it was made by any of these talented people at this company. And I would just hate to see that happen. You know, so just share this video with everyone you know who's into RPGs or action RPGs or even fighting games, just anyone who you think might like a game like this. I don't make games like this often. It's been a long time since I even appeared on camera. So you know that I'm serious about this. You know that this is something special that I really want to see happen. I'm really passionate about this. I mean, this isn't like the My Number 9 campaign where it's like, oh, we just got a few drawings to show off, to see what the game could be like. They have given us this prototype, which already cost a buttload of money, just to give us some idea of what the game could be like. It's like, you want more of this? Well, then help us out. So yeah, let's go! I'm sorry that this part of the video ended up being kind of long-winded, guys. It's just, I had a lot to say about this game, and if this doesn't get made, I'm gonna be really bummed out. I mean, there are times when I honestly feel almost ready to just completely ditch the whole gaming scene forever, and just go back to playing games that I already have. And it's games like this that keep me coming back, you know, during those times. And if this game doesn't get funded, if it just isn't possible for something like Indivisible to come about in this day and age, I'm gonna lose like some of what little faith I have in the gaming industry left, honestly. This is clearly an uphill battle, but if we just push hard enough, I think we can make it over the top. We just need to keep going, so please, guys, please help us out. I don't know what else to say. Let's just go for it. You know, if it doesn't go that way, people are gonna look back at this video and just be like, oh well. Or things might go really good, and I might look back at this and be like, yeah.
This video is a call to gamers. Anyone who says, well, I'm not going to bother funding it because there's no way it'll ever reach that mark, so why bother? See, that's why games don't get funded. Because people get overly skeptical and create a self-fulfilling prophecy. They see each other not donating, so they don't donate. If this isn't the kind of game you're interested in, fine. But if you do know anyone who is, please share this video. Share all of these kinds of videos. Spread the word to anyone who you think might like a game like Indivisible. Anyone who wants to live in a world where games like this can still be made. That's all I got for now, guys. Toodles.